morning, Sarah. Good to see you and thank you for being here. I look forward to the conversation.
Thank you, Massimo. It's great to be here.
So, tell us a bit more about Outliers.
Outliers is an early stage venture capital fund. We invest in outlier founders in the Middle East and the United States.
And you mentioned outlier founders, and I know that is very important to you. So, what is an outlier founder?
By definition, outlier is an exception. So it's very difficult to have a list or like a checklist of what an outlier means. Another point to this is what does it mean to have an outlier team? And I think that also something that we think about a lot and constantly at Outliers. The definition of an outlier team, irrespective of the individual co-founders, is a team that has exceptional diversity in a way that allows the founding team to have superior decision making.
Very interesting. Now, thinking a bit about the landscape, the last 12 to 18 months in this space has been quite challenging, to say the least. So, what's your view on the landscape?
A lot of things changed, and I think founders will continue to build. The question is, do the founders today have the agility to cope with the different market dynamics? Do they have a toolkit of skill sets that they can extract from? Do they have a team that relates to the mission in a way that allows them to navigate the market dynamics in a way that allows the company to adapt to the changing macro environment?
And you mentioned the word adapt. Did you adapt in any way or form because of this?
On a day-to-day basis, of course, it changed what we look at, what we track, how we talk to our founders in terms of the advice that we're giving the founders. What didn't change, though, is our philosophy and how we're operating. So fundamentally, from a thesis perspective, we're the same. But from a day-to-day perspective, we're constantly looking for what are the new data points that are informing our decision and can inform our founders in a way that can help them build better companies.
And what is the role of the VC, and what is the relationship between a VC and the founder? And what is your role in these dynamics?
Our role is basically to be a partner. We often almost never say we're investors in the company. We're partners with the founders. We back companies. We support them.
The one question that I have now is about thinking of this part of the world. There is a lot of potential. People are thinking it's the golden age of the Middle East. How do you see this happening in the sector that you're playing? How attractive is the market here?
What we're super excited about today is that there's a lot of bottoms-up thinkers and product-driven founders that are building for the region, specifically using insights. The MENA region is very special and it's very different. So building for Saudi is very different than building for the UAE, and it's extremely different than building for Egypt. So we think there's a lot of interesting things can enable further potential if there are cross-regional collaboration activities that can enable companies to build across the region.
Very interesting. So, my last question on having a magic wand. So, if you had one and you can use it here to fix one of those blockers that you mentioned, what would that be?
We genuinely believe that long-term thinking is required for the ecosystem to actually be sustainable. So there's a lot of quick fixes that can enable growth. And I think there's a lot of those initiatives that are already changing how the ecosystem is growing and scaling. But I think some things are just not forcible by a magic wand or so. So I think one of the pillars of the ecosystem moving forward is potentially going to be the existence of precedents. So, for instance, things along the lines of other successful exits, interregional exits, more IPOs by technology companies, more examples of failures as well, because all of those anecdotes collectively enable some sort of institutional knowledge in a way that allows future founders to know what to do and what not to do in a way that's organic and sustainable for the long term.
Interesting. So there are a lot of people that are listening to us at this moment that are considering whether they want to be founders or not. What would you want to tell them? So should they be founders or not?
Both being a founder and being VC is extremely humbling because failure is basically built into the system. So I guess my biggest advice is if there's an inkling of curiosity about building a company, that's a good sign. But then there needs to be a very high level of conviction about the problem you're solving in a way that gives the founder a constant stream of resilience and a constant stream of curiosity to continue and to want to continue building that company, because it's not an easy journey, but it's extremely worthwhile.
Sarah, thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you, Massimo.